My name is Gerry O'Connor. I'm a fiddle player from Dundalk, County Louth, and I'm from this area, and I've been playing music from this area for many years. Like every other young musician, we played tunes from all over the country, and in my late teens I got interested in playing the music from our home area. People would often say to me, "Where is your music from? And do you play any tunes from your own place?" And I wasn't really aware of things. But I was playing in Mark's Bar many years ago, back in the 85, 75, and I was given a collection of music as a photocopy of an article in a journal, the Louth Archaeological Journal, and it piqued my interest in the music of the area, and that's where it all started.
Brilliant. So, Gerry, you're a local fiddle player, well known not only in this country but abroad, sort of carrying the baton that is the music of the Oriel tradition. This concert that is being organised in the Worthley Estate, this isn't, as you said, this isn't your first time dealing with local music, but what is different to this project than ones you've been involved with before in terms of dealing with Oriel music?
Well, before this, we were doing our research on our own. I had the Louth Archaeological articles, I had stuff from the Donlan collection, UCD, but for the first time we're actually drawing on many sources from the collection of music and artifacts in the archive, which is a wonderful resource for us all now, and it consolidates really an identity on the area which we didn't have before. We were all working away at our own little patches, recording tunes from here, tunes from there, from the area. But now we have a source, basically a physical source, place to go and research this music in that. And I think it'll give us all a cultural identity in the area, both north and south, because we are quite fragmented on the border here. People in the south look to Dublin, people in the north look towards Belfast. And this area has been, along the border, has been sort of nearly, I wouldn't say ignored totally, but there has been a lack of identity, of communal identity in what is now the border area, because this was never a border area back before 1921. This was a united area of music and song. Dundalk was a natural hinterland to South Armagh, East Monaghan, East Cavan, where people came shopping in Dundalk, for example. And the overlap of all that cultural dimension was very vibrant. Later on, with the division of the country, you had people that were not able to cross the border in evenings, for example, and they intended not to travel as easily. I often joked that if I was advertising, making a concert in the Dundalk area, you'd have to put an article in 12 different newspapers, because there's 6 different counties, two different jurisdictions, and every county has got 2 opposing newspapers. In theory, that's what you'd have to do. Compared if you're in the middle of Cork, for example, you'd be in Mallow and put an ad in one paper, and it covers everybody within an hour's distance travelling around. So it's that sort of fragmentation, which creates its own diversity in many ways as well. And we'll hopefully reflect that in what's been collected in the archive. Music, song, dance of all traditions, orange and green. And later even the show band music, which might come under this in a form, because a lot of music we're going to play tomorrow night will be popular music in its day, and we'll come back to that maybe.
Just even what you were saying there, maybe about the locations. You mentioned Mark's Bar, and you mentioned that you're very much known as a fiddle player from Dundalk, North Louth. Would you have travelled much though in your younger days in terms of round the Greater Oriel region? Would you have sort of travelled much for music into South Armagh, South Down, Monaghan?
We did many a time. And I grew up as in Dundalk. Rory Kennedy ran the coaches in Dundalk very effectively and very with great enthusiasm and great fun. I must say, fun was the most important thing for us. At the time, the competitions, even though we were playing coach as members, it wasn't that important. Our priority was to get the Kelly band through. And with that, the Kelly band would have been brought around to various halls in the area. We played concerts up as far as Armagh, Drogheda. I remember we actually visited. I remember there's a little hospital down in Midwest Meath where kids were there in cots, and we were brought down to play these events. So as a kid, I was brought around a lot. Even in my first FLA would have been in All Ireland FLA was 1967 in Enniscorthy. I was playing in the under 18 Kelly band. And even though I was 8 or 9 year old, I was in the under 18 Kelly band. They were short of fiddle players.
Must have been.
Maybe I was the tallest of them, maybe not the best.
Must have been scraping the barrel as
they were
you were asked.
I was scraping the fiddle, they were scraping the barrel. And from that point, I'd always had that opportunity to travel, yes.
Brilliant. And as a young fella, then were you, like as an 8, 9 year old even, into your teenage years, were you aware of the idea and the term Oriel? Is that something that you were aware of, or did that only come in when you got older?
I think we were very lucky in primary school. Jerry Burns was a local teacher, and he was frequenting Mark's Bar in his time. We weren't aware of it, of course, as kids. But he'd be bringing the songs from the area into the school. We were learning Four Green Fields. We sang all the 98 songs, and we weren't singing rebel songs. We were singing historical ballads and all sorts of songs. But Gerry was a great influence in that. And I know when I left school, I saw in a local free newspaper there was a lesson, what I read as Oriel Irish, but it's actually Oral Irish. It's obviously dyslexic as well, and so I applied and we went to Ranafast. I was 12-year-old and went to Ranafast, but it was actually the word Oriel that caught my attention, and it was interesting. I suppose my mother being my first fiddle teacher. She taught us many tunes that she played. But Brendan Corcoran, just talking to her during rehearsal, Brendan Corcoran was one of the founders of Coatis in Dundalk, and he taught piano. Well, he taught the piano company, but he also taught the singers, traditional singers. And he brought me around to his house, and that's where I was first introduced to Urquhart Céim Conchi, which is a huge, important piece of music in our region. And by chance, I actually knew Pedro Duda, who actually put the music to Pedro Darnian's poem. Pedro Duda had an office in the Gaelic League. I was Irish dancing as well as playing the fiddle, and we danced in the Gaelic League, the Cunner na Gael against Seatown Place in the Dundalk, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings and afternoons, and Tuesday night we were playing the Coatis branch met there. So I spent more time in number 6 Seatown Place than I did at my own house probably. But Pedro had the office upstairs, and we used to be out standing on the steps. And I remember a summer's evening, and this man with this sort of big fedora hat would come down, and like the Sandy Man hat, port hat, and he'd speak Irish to us. And so we ran away. We weren't really aware of what we were engaging in. And he translated the Bible into Irish. I think it was 12 years worked 3 million words or something into the Douay Bible into Irish. So we had this living culture around us, and we weren't just alert to it at the time. It was only years later that it all made sense to me.
Yeah. Coming back to the concert then, tell me about your relationship with the two musicians that you'll be working with.
Well, Nuala Kennedy and I have been working together for a number of years. Nuala is from Dundalk. She was educated in Dundalk and in the same Coatis branch that I was in, and then she went to Scotland, and she went to Belfast first, then moved to Scotland for her third level education. But when she come home, she'd ring me and say, "Gerry, where's the sessions? Where are we going? Where are we having the tune?" And from that we built up a great relationship, playing music together. And involved, we were playing some sessions together, and then at a Christmas concert I'd say, why don't we create a Christmas concert, have all the musicians from the area that come home for Christmas and put a concert on the Spirit Store. And that's what we started building up a repertory together. And then in 2010 or 11, I was thinking of recording an album of music from the area. We called the band Orela, and I was playing with Martin Quinn and Gilles Bigot. And we brought Nuala in. Nuala was researching the local songs, and she had great interest in the music and song of the area. And I think that sort of sparked her bigger interest, being away from home, realising living in Scotland, what are we, where are we, and where are we from? So we recorded an album called Orelo, focusing on a lot of the music, not exclusively, but others. But that was our first time playing together and recording together. We toured Austria, we played duets in the States as well. So I must say it was great fun to work with, but a serious and very competent musician, and always learning and always driving us to learn. That's what I love about it. Ailish, I met Ailish a number of times through family connections, through my wife's family. We knew her Lavelles, and I was pulling a project together in Dublin about 8 years ago for some choirs from the States, and I was programming the traditional side of the orchestra, and we had the classical side, and I reckon Ailish would be the perfect fit for that, because she was studying her PhD at the time on the Bunting collection. So we've worked a few projects like that together. We also played a lovely concert over at the festival in Carrickmacross a number of years ago, and on the back of that we toured in Sweden together as well, playing a lot of local material, modern and older material. So she was a perfect fit for this project. She's going to talk and play a lot of the Bunting melodies, and we'll play some of the stuff we have played before. So I think it's a perfect fit for us all, that we all have got this connection. I suppose I'm the link between the two female musicians. They have never met before, but they're in there talking away and making great friendships.
Great. Finally, though, the last question that I have is, through the research that you've done for this project, is there any gems that were maybe undiscovered beforehand that you've maybe pulled out of the archive, or through your research for this concert, what little tunes or things have maybe taken you by surprise?
We keep them under wraps to tomorrow.
Ah.
Well, there are a few, and it's hard to say because we're still working through the programme.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that my aunt Anne and my aunt Lizzie's collection is reflected in the programme, and we're playing little polkas that she had in our collection. We're playing some jigs from the McCann collection which I hadn't played before. We're playing tunes from the Bunting that we have played a little bit once before. There's quite a few little gems. I think I wouldn't too many to account for now.
Brilliant. Well, Gerry, thanks a million. We're looking forward to it tomorrow night.
Thank you. I should go back.